delegates and from the speakers, particularly on the AI front. It's almost as if AI is a conference within a conference, and so because this conference brings together truly just global leaders. I'm not talking simply politicians, but people actually working in these fields. Then you're really hearing some sort of cutting edge information. You're being given some really esoteric knowledge, and you have people in that area who are incredibly optimistic. Maybe they would say they're just realistic, as one gentleman put it this morning. Their focus in terms of funding ventures is all about figuring out where the hockey puck is going to be, and going then that direction rather than looking at where we are today and figuring out how do we make money from the status quo. So it's whether it's AI, whether it's green energy, across the other area, more traditional areas, you might say, finance and investment and economic policy making. It's about being proactive and a tremendous emphasis on being disruptive, being creative, being innovative. And so that makes it, once again, a stimulating experience and hopefully a constructive and a productive one. To this point, at least to the opening of this conference, I think that the future investment initiatives focus has been on renewable energies and moving beyond fossil fuels. However, and again, I'm not speaking for the organizers, but I'm speaking in terms of the impression that I have, that I think that this conference is starting, and as you're suggesting, in your question, this conference, like the wider policy environment globally, is starting to reflect an understanding and appreciation that fossil fuels are not going away anytime soon. In fact, some prominent people think they shouldn't go away at all, and that even if we transition, it's going to be costly and it's going to be a bumpy road. And what does that, whichever direction we go, what does that mean for developing countries who are, to this point, being told, if not always being given, that the assistance is coming? If the West is telling the global South, for example, we must all do this, then we're going to help you do what we say you must do. Even if you put aside the notion of whether that's the right way of deciding things in the global South, for example, it's no longer, I think, unanimous in the West that we're going to go all in on renewables is actually the way we're going to go. And with various elections throwing up new governments and new leaders, and we'll see what happens next week in the United States, increasingly there's a mix of political and policy viewpoints and perspectives on this. So I think balance is probably where we're headed, both at the Future Investment Initiative this year and going forward, and obviously more widely in the world as it deals with these problems on a day-to-day basis. We had the pre-summit that you touched on in your introduction, which was almost exclusive, not exclusively, but a lot of it was about the African context. Every facet of what could, should, would, may not happen in Africa economically, and what the challenges were, and what the potential problems might be, or disappointments. And then the first formal day yesterday, there was a major discussion on what the prospects are for good or bad news economically in the global South more broadly. So emerging markets, perhaps less formally than last year, but they're definitely having their sort of time in the sun, literally and figuratively, here in Saudi Arabia. There's a tremendous, for Africa to get so much attention, have it almost pre-summit of its own, I think reflects the fact that the global nature of this event is taken very seriously, and the African component is especially taken seriously. It's seen as, I think, the coming geographical regional element to a summit such as this.